Next up on News Center 13, one man is under arrest tonight after a domestic disturbance turns into a fatal shooting.
Also, the tall tale of Tommy Cat and his rescue from the chimney.
And the Billy Joel concert tonight has a Hoosier connection on stage. We'll tell you about that.
And in weather, we're going to see how long the mild trend will last.
And Ronnie Duncan's Sports Spotlight next on News Center 13 tonight.
WTHR, Channel 13, Indianapolis. Live from the heart of Indiana, Bruce Kopp, Pat Carlini's exclusive AccuWeather, and Ronnie Duncan's Weekend Sports Spotlight. This is News Center 13 tonight. The news starts now.
On the city's east side, a domestic dispute tonight escalates into a deadly confrontation with gunfire. Good evening, Indiana.
Our top story, one man is dead tonight after allegedly being shot several times by his fiance's ex-husband. It happened at this townhome on Village Plaza South Drive. Neighbors say the shooting seemed to last forever. IPD homicide detectives are investigating. They say the shooting started when the suspect's ex-wife came to pick up their son.
The victim, who was the fiance's, who was the young woman's fiance, went to the door and was told to leave, apparently, by the suspect at gunpoint. And then he returned, argument ensued, and the victim was shot more than once.
The victim was pronounced dead at Wishart Hospital. His name and the names of those involved in this incident have not been released yet. Bruce.
Despite heavy fire damage to a northeast side church, some preschoolers will have emergency daycare services tomorrow morning. The $250,000 blaze at a North Ritter Avenue church last night also wiped out daycare facilities there. Members of Ritter Avenue Free Methodist Church moved services this morning to a nearby medical center. And tomorrow's daycare classes will meet at First Free Methodist Church, 2000 East 12th Street. A 12-year-old is charged with starting the fire with gasoline. Police will question him at the juvenile center on Tuesday. The congregation today focused, though, on forgiving.
If there are persons responsible for it, you pray for God's forgiveness for them. You have a loving spirit. We will not hold a grudge. We pray for God's forgiveness and that they will seek God's forgiveness and His help.
The church plans to rebuild. The structure was insured and the sanctuary escaped fire damage. A motel explosion in Maryland has left 4 people dead, and investigators say it was apparently caused by a gas leak. 10 other people were also hurt after the blast set off a fire at the Super 8 Hotel in Hagerstown, Maryland. Some hotel guests said they smelled smoke just before the explosion. Hagerstown is about an hour northwest of Baltimore.
Sex and money scandals haven't stopped Japan's ruling party from gaining re-election tonight. Final results are not known, but the Liberal Democratic Party will hold on to its 35-year-old dominance in the powerful lower house of parliament. The LDP faced sex and stock market scandals in the year prior to the election. Both sides in next Sunday's Nicaraguan election held rallies today. The Sandinista government gathered in León and accused the U.S.-supported Contra rebels of planning to disrupt the election. In Managua, the UNO party, made up of 14 groups, marched through the streets. A veterans group from Indiana and an IU professor, along with his students, will be in Nicaragua to monitor the elections. You'll hear from them this week on News Center 13.
Back in Indiana, a grand jury may soon be looking into misconduct allegations leveled against a Boone County judge. Federal and state authorities have been investigating Circuit Judge Ronald Drury over the last 2 years, following accusations that he used public funds to pay for personal long-distance phone calls. Now, a special prosecutor says the probe has revealed more than just phone calls, but would not comment further. As for Judge Drury, he released a statement today calling the investigation a blatant example of politics in its most crude form. Drury announced he would run for re-election 3 days ago. He added, "I reiterate my innocence of absolutely any wrongdoing." Drury says he looks forward to a grand jury probe that he hopes will resolve his case quickly. He's seeking his 3rd term as a Boone County Circuit Judge.
At 6 o'clock, we told you about a catastrophe involving a feline. About an hour later, the cat's misfortune ended with a purr. This is where we left Tommy, stranded 70 feet in the air. Now, how did he get up there?
Well, there's holes on the inside of the brick that he climbed up. He was going after a bird or something. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Tommy's owner accidentally locked him in this garage overnight.
I didn't know where he was. I went out here last night looking for him. It was really cold. He kept screaming, and I kept walking around the garage every which way, and I thought he was inside the garage.
Hey, Tom!
Who did you call it?
The Indianapolis Fire Department, and my wife called Perry Township, and they said they didn't do that.
So there's no way for any person to get up
Not
through
inside.
there.
No, it'd be too risky. You'd be climbing up, and the whole thing would fall out on him. We were trying to take a pole and splice it together to stand up on it so you can climb down it.
Finally, after 24 hours, an idea that works.
The idea was to get a pulley up to the top of the stack.
Took the slingshot, hooked a string through a socket, shot it up the hole until it came outside. And finally climbed in the box because we had food and things in there ready for him, and he made it down. He's a brave cat. I thought he'd be worse off for being in the cold, but he's doing fine.
It probably cost us over $40 to save the kitty today. Hey, Tom was worth it. What a cat.
If your pet ever runs into a similar problem, we want you to know that most fire departments have gotten out of the pet rescue business, and the Humane Society advises getting in touch with a tree service to help out in those situations.
Tom was probably happy to get the meal, too, after that length of time. Well, the Indiana legislature resumes work tomorrow. Next, we'll preview an important bill being debated in the Senate.
And we've got some help in preparing your taxes. That in our Money Watch report next.
One of the hottest issues at the State House comes up before a Senate panel tomorrow. A bill that would give government workers the right to bargain collectively is set for debate. For the last month, union leaders in favor of the measure have been at odds with business and government officials opposed to it in debate before lawmakers. It's anybody's guess on how or if the measure will clear the Senate Finance Committee. But the bill sponsor says only testimony will be heard tomorrow, and a vote on the bill probably won't come until Wednesday. Governor Bayh has said he would approve the bill if local governments are not required to mandate collective bargaining.
Tax filing day is still 2.5 months away, but you should start thinking about who's doing them now. You can do them yourself, or you can have your taxes done by a professional. In our Money Watch report tonight, we offer advice on lining up a tax pro to fit your needs and your wallet.
Mary Dorak is a tax accountant, the special kind. Mary's an enrolled agent, one of 25,000 nationwide, licensed by the IRS to represent clients legally.
What an enrolled agent status is someone that has pretty much learned a lot about taxes and passed a very comprehensive examination in front of IRS.
Enrolled agents charge hourly rates of usually $40 an hour and up, less than CPAs charge because they're not CPAs. Does your tax preparer belong to the National Association of Enrolled Agents? If so, he or she is required to take 6 hours of continuing education a year to keep right up to date. Then there's the profession I'm partial to, certified public accountants or CPAs. And going to a CPA to solve your tax problems and concerns is much like going to a doctor for health problems. Maybe you just need a checkup. Now, CPAs have to live up to strict educational, experience, and continuing education guidelines. Then there's that tough 3-day test we had to pass. And like attorneys and enrolled agents, CPAs can represent clients legally before the IRS. Most smaller CPA firms charge fees ranging from $100 to $250 an hour. Don't want to spend this much or don't need this much tax clout? There's always those storefront preparers. The biggest, H&R Block, has more than 9,000 offices. Whoever you decide to use, it's true, the best practitioners are very often the busiest. So my advice, start looking today. I'm Steve Crowley for News Center 13's Money Watch.
Tomorrow night on News Center 13 at 11, our Money Watch report rediscovers IRAs.
Next up in Pat Carlini's AccuWeather forecast, a warm-up on the way. She tells us about that.
And later in Ronnie's Sports Spotlight, the story of a very special wrestler from Muncie.
Pat Carlini is affiliated with the National Weather Association and backed by News Center 13's exclusive AccuWeather.
First, though, this has been the week for major concerts in town. First, Paul McCartney, and tonight, piano man Billy Joel kicked off his 2-night stay at Market Square Arena. Pat Carlini stopped by to check it out.
The crowd was there. The scalpers were there. For the second time in 1 week, Indianapolis hosted a major concert at Market Square Arena. kicked off the first of his two-night stay with the title track from his Stormfront album. It was not only a special night for the crowd, but also for one member of his band with Hoosier roots. Crystal on saxophone got her start in Bloomington and hooked up with another Hoosier, John Cougar Mellencamp, and from there...
I got a call on the phone and said, hey, you want to do an album? I said, sure. You want to go on tour? I said, sure. With who? Billy? Sure, you know. So here I am.
And speaking of pleasing the crowd, these three girls wound up with better seats than they ever imagined.
A guy just came up to us and said, do you want better seats? And we said, sure, we'll take them. And we got them here. We're down here front row.
Even Billy Joel is said to be pleased with his Stormfront tour.